Welcome back to the Sword of Truth podcast, the alcohol-fueled chapter-by-chapter reread of the Sword of Truth series with a craft brew-soaked mattress on the side.
Oh, so bad.
I'm Jade.
And I'm Nate, and on this episode, we are returning to chapter 57 of Stone of Tears.
But first, I'm going to open my beer.
That seemed pretty satisfying.
It was. It's going to be more satisfying here in a second when I start to drink it.
Good. I'm glad. All right. Well, I think we are going to get right into it.
Yeah, let's go. This chapter, along with the last chapter, were both kind of lengthy chapters anyway, so I feel like we don't have a lot of time for, like, back and forth.
We got to get right to it.
Yeah.
We don't have time
No.
to waste.
Not at all.
It's a mad dash to the end.
Yeah, we're so close to the end of the book. Like, it's just, like, ramping up.
Like we said before, it's getting more hectic because it's changing characters. And in this one, again, a couple of times in the chapter.
Yeah, it's not even just, like, we switch characters, but then we don't even stick with just one. We get a peppering of a whole bunch of them.
Right. That's a movie trick. They do that in the movies. You can see the cutscenes faster and faster. It, like, builds anticipation.
For the climax.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And here we are talking instead of getting into the chapter.
Yeah. Okay. Refocus. We're good.
Here we go.
So we finally rejoin Kahlan as she is stealthily making her way into Adendril. She avoids King's Row where she might be recognized because she doesn't even need all that shit right now. After the difficult journey here, she had already climbed up into the Wizard's Keep and found nothing there. There's no one there. It's just cold and empty. It says the shields were still in place, but that a confessor could have gotten in, but she didn't go in, it sounded like.
Because nobody was there. I mean, I feel like I probably still would have, like, cracked the door open if I had the key. Like, if I was allowed, I'd be given permission. I'd probably, like, stick my head in at least and be like, anybody hanging out?
Hello?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you're going to climb all the way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well
Let
hang
it come
out
up
for
here
a minute.
For nothing, man.
See if somebody left shit for sandwiches in the fridge, you know?
Right, but it does kind of end up being a waste because Zedd's not there. And that's depressing as fuck. He's supposed to be there. That's the whole reason she had to go to Adendril. And really, something has to be wrong because if you remember, she sidebarred into a war for a little while.
Yeah.
And that wasted time. She was late. So Zedd should have been here, like, already for a while. Yeah,
because the plan was always to regroup in Adendril even before all the crazy shit happened. Or at the very least, he should have sent a note. But lacking Zedd being there, she just wants to speak to the council because that also has top priority after, you know, the war.
The war, yeah. Oh, by the way, we are at war. So, tidings from the south.
So, Chan and Orsk stayed out in the woods. They didn't come in because they're not really city people, you know. Chan is ready to go home. He's delivered Kahlan. He's like, my job is fucking done. But she convinced him to stay till the morning. And right now she has no idea what to do with Orsk. So it kind of helps to just have Chan watching him, I think.
He's just there now. Yeah, I get he wants to go home. He's been gone for a long time. But I feel like Chan has proved himself to be of a higher stature than a babysitter.
Yeah.
A little bit. I get there's nobody else that Kahlan trusts as much to keep an eye on him, but, like, he has confessed.
Yeah.
Couldn't she just tell him, hey, big fella, I get it. You want to make me happy. You know what would make me happy? I only want to see you twice a day. Once in the morning for a check-in, and once at night for a check-in. Other than that, if I want to see you, I will call you. It would please me very much if you just stayed over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the best option, but I just think she hasn't gotten there yet because she needed the muscle up till now, you know?
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, he's had to have been around.
Which I still think is a little silly. Like, no matter what your reasoning is, bring the muscle with you.
Well, now, I mean, she's in Adendril, so the hope is that she doesn't need him.
Right. Right, I mean...
But he's just there.
But we've talked about this before. Her faith that this transitional period has gone fine is kind of crazy to me, because when she left Adendril, it had been taken over by Dahara. It was already not in the hands of the council, right? And then Richard killed Darken Rahl and was like, Daharan troops, go home. Essentially clearing Adendril of the Daharan officers and all that bullshit. So she is expecting that without any oversight from the Confessor or the wizards who normally run this shit, that this transition has just gone swimmingly and nobody just stepped into these roles.
Right. Like, well, no, you said it right. They stepped into the role during the chaos. When everything is upended, there are no rules, and then you just sit your ass in the big seat, and suddenly you're the king.
She's got a lot of faith. I mean, she's sneaking in, but I just feel like overall her faith in these people is way less than deserved. So she enters the Confessor Palace through the kitchen and runs into Mistress Sanderholt, who gives her a very warm welcome. She's been missing her. We've heard about Mistress Sanderholt. She makes Kahlan's food and shit.
Mm-hmm.
She takes care of her.
She was like Mary Poppins. She makes the good food. She has all this stuff.
Yeah.
She makes you feel better.
Yeah. She's like her nanny or her grandma.
Yeah.
She tries to get Kahlan to get some soup and fill her in on some of the important shit that's been going on, which I would think that Kahlan would want to hear from, like, the help before she gets up into the important places.
Yeah.
But she denies it. She says she doesn't have time. She has to go talk to the council and then get some rest. I don't know what time of day it is. I don't really remember if I read what time of day it is, because I kept thinking it was nighttime, and I was like, why the fuck are all these people awake? But she leaves the kitchen and heads through the palace to the council chambers.
It is funny that this Mistress Sanderholt is somebody who took care of Kahlan, because when Kahlan sees her, the first thing she does is try to give her food. And my mom does that. I cannot leave her sight without, like, being given something to eat. When we go over to their house, if I'm not eating there, she'll be like, well, you can take all of this stuff with you. Like, here, eat. It's just her instinct to make me eat.
Nobody else is going to nourish you the way I nourish you.
But it's like maternal, right?
Yeah.
So Kahlan feels that way about this lady. Obviously, Kahlan has a mom. She knew her mom. But this lady was the one that took care of her.
Yeah.
So they're close. I just thought it was appropriate that she was offered food immediately. Hi, fucking eat this. How are you?
Yeah. No, it was sweet. So inside the council chambers, there is a fresco of the first confessor, Magdasirith, and her wizard, Merritt.
What's a fresco?
It's like a painting.
Okay. All right. I didn't understand what it was. I listened to it twice and I was like, I don't have any idea. So thank you for clearing that up. It's a painting.
You're welcome. Like, the I believe, and I could double check and Google this if I felt the need. But the Michelangelo on the ceiling thing?
Okay.
I believe that's a fresco.
Oh, okay. So fancy stuff.
So underneath this painting of the Magdasirith and her wizard, there's a semicircular platform with the ornate first chair in the center, and there's a desk where all the counselors sit, kind of looking down at the people who come in the door.
Yeah, I know this is nowhere near accurate, okay? And I'm sure anybody that's going to know what I'm talking about will be able to verify that too. But this reminds me of the scene in Star Wars when they're in Congress and there's that big floating thing in the middle and then everybody else is down and around them. It kind of felt like that. Obviously not that grandeur, but
yeah.
I mean, this is still a big place, but it was kind of like that, where they're up high and at the center of everything.
Right. Your eye goes to them. About half the counselors are in here, and they're, like, surrounding somebody sitting in that super fancy first chair.
To be clear, that's Kahlan's chair.
Yeah, it's not enforced now, but it's a capital offense for a counselor to take that chair. It's basically like a declaration of treason?
Yeah, like I said, that's Kahlan's chair.
And it's High Prince Byron sitting there, which doesn't surprise us because we've now seen the shittier side of him. Excuse my pun. But Kahlan...
No excuses. What was that?
You know what it was.
Own that, Jade.
But Kahlan for sure wasn't planning on it. The last time we heard her talk about this dude, she was like, he's such a gentleman. So I thought there was a little bit of a lack of shock in her reaction to him being such a dick. Throughout the whole chapter, there's no mention of internal dialogue where she's like, wow, he's really not the guy I thought he was, is he?
Well, there was that whole, threatening to cut his throat line.
Yes.
Feel like that was some dialogue that maybe expressed shock.
Yeah, I guess. I just thought, if I had just stood up for this guy, like, kind of, in a way, to other people, I would be a little bit more like...
Something
God.
like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Would have come up a little sooner. No, I get it.
So, next to Byron is a man whispering to him wearing robes like a wizard.
Weird.
Yeah. Byron stands and greets her, and this is where she does, threaten him. Basically not threaten, promise.
That guy that talks with his hands. What is it, from year one?
Yes. He's not a wizard, but he's a person in that movie.
A seer or something like that. That's what I picture. It's awesome. It works perfect.
Now, Byron made a good point here about how nobody knew if she was alive. Because we've talked about this before, too. Like I was just saying. Nobody knew she was alive. Of course, somebody would have stepped into the leadership role here. It makes sense. So you can't really fault him for sitting in the chair.
Well, I think maybe that depends on how it came to be that he sat in the chair.
I agree with that.
Like, was this a process, or did he go in there with a crossbow one day and say, check it out, I get the chair, or I'm going to shoot you in the face?
Or was he just like, fuck that bitch, right?
Yeah.
And then just sat down?
Yeah, or just, it did it the laziest way possible because he's an asshole and we don't like him.
And all the other men laughed and laughed because she's a woman in power, and who needs that, right?
I mean, that's all I think. It matters how he got there, but either way, he's definitely a dick.
Also, he mentions it's been 5 or 6 months. And that timeline always staggers me because I always feel like we've been gone through this book way longer than that.
Well, this book and the last book.
Yes.
That means 5-6 months. Total, everything we've read so far.
Yes. Crazy.
I don't believe it. I mean, okay, it is. That's obviously Terry telling us, hey, it's been about this long. So they have dealt with a lot of shit in a short amount of time.
Hey, if you're curious, this is where we're at.
So Kahlan tells the men that the full council will meet in the morning to discuss the Midlands being at war. Then she leaves the room. She boss moves them. She's like, hey, fuckface, this is the way it is. Reminder, I am in charge. I will see your asses tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I declared war. So, deal with it.
And then she does the snap as she leaves the room.
Bye. As she leaves, she doesn't recognize any of the guards because the ones she knew all died when Dahara took over. So, this makes sense. Like, there was obviously a fucking mess that would have been left. I mean, the whole time, everything, the last 6 months have been a mess for Adendril, I'm sure. So, it's not surprising to me that she doesn't recognize anybody, and it shouldn't be for her. She's lucky that her fucking servants made it through.
Yeah, which is kind of amazing. Like, we know armies, specifically, will keep them alive while they inhabit the palace, and then when they move on, then they kill them.
Yeah, it's weird.
Or take them with.
Yeah, and it's weird that if everyone thought she was dead, that they allowed these people to keep running the palace as if she was still returning at some point.
We need them to stay alive because they're rich.
Oh.
They have the money, so we'll leave